Hi, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is about our /best of Reddit updates.
I cheated on my fiancé with his brother and I realized I want to cancel the wedding. So I cheated on my fiancé Hugo with his older brother Michael, and I realized that I've lost feelings for Hugo for a long time, and don't want to marry him, but have feelings for Michael. Cheating on Hugo was the last bit it took me to realize this. Little backstory how we met. I met Hugo and his brother in middle school. I was 13. I got to know Michael beforehand and got along with him much better. He was 16, and flirted with me a lot, but I told him he was too old for me. He was very sad about it, but he said that if I later married his brother, I would still be part of the family. Hugo and Michael both gave me their number. They left it up to me to decide which of them I wanted to get to know better. I chose Hugo because we didn't have such a huge age difference as Michael and I did, although I actually wanted to write Michael. So Hugo and I got to know each other better, met more often, and got together when I was 15 and he was 16. We were in a relationship for years, but my heart was with Michael the whole time. I put it off because I didn't want to hurt Hugo. He really does everything for me, and I can feel how much he loves me. I've met Michael from time to time when I was at Hugo's house or at family gatherings, and it gave me the impression that he wanted me as much as I wanted him. Of course, that wasn't good at all, and I'm aware of that. I went on living like this for years, and when Hugo proposed to me in September last year, I was so relieved. I thought that now I would only love Hugo and forget about Michael, or that he wasn't as present to me anymore. Wrong. Hugo and Michael's aunt got married for the third time last week and the whole family was there, including Michael. And there it happened. Hugo talked to his family members all evening and I was kind of alone. But that was okay with me, because I already knew everyone well, and at that point had quite a headache from the loud music. So I distanced myself from the revelers and, of course, met Michael. He wanted to keep me company and I agreed. We talked and eventually one thing led to another, and we went to the toilets together. By the way, we were both still sober when I cheated, so we really wanted it. Writing this, I realize how messed up everything is. After Michael and I made love, we were both very shocked at first. I meant that it was not a mistake but exactly what I wanted for years. Him. Michael confessed his love to me and told how frustrating it was for him over the years with the thought of his brother sleeping with his love. Michael and I want to be together and finally happy after all these years. I haven't told Hugo anything about my infidelity yet. Neither does Michael. Michael and I are now considering canceling the wedding and gently telling Hugo. I don't want to leave him standing in front of the altar and saying no, not in front of the whole family. I would like to spare him this experience. It's bad enough that I cheated on him with his brother. I've finally realized that I haven't had any feelings for Hugo for a long time. I don't want to go on with my life like this anymore. It's not fair to Hugo either. So my question now is, how can Michael and I tell Hugo? How do I tell Hugo that I love Michael? What are Michael and I supposed to do? And what are we going to do about the wedding now? I don't want to marry Hugo. Can the wedding take place and instead I marry Michael? Would something like that work? I'm pretty desperate right now because I finally want to be with Michael, but I don't want to cheat on Hugo again. Update, 4 months later, I married the brother, Michael, of my fiancé Hugo, last month. A few months ago I also did a post on another sub about the wedding that was supposed to be in December and asked for help and advice. I decided to get into a relationship with Michael, even though I was still with Hugo. After a month and a few weeks of secretly dating, we decided to tell Hugo together. Since I live with Hugo, we invited Michael to our house. We explained to him that we were together and talked about our feelings that we have for each other. I confessed to him how long I had loved Michael and told him that I cheated on him with his brother at his aunt's wedding and that we made love. I also found out I'm pregnant from Michael, with twins, and we told Hugo that too. I got pregnant at his aunt's wedding, when I cheated. We obviously didn't use protection, as it was very spontaneous. Hugo reacted terribly. He was disappointed and hurt and kicked me out. Hugo told me to pack my things and never come back. He yelled at Michael and didn't give me another look. When I left with Michael, he threw his engagement ring at me. I haven't seen him since then. I now live with Michael, but I know from his mother that Hugo got severe depression and developed a drinking problem. He quit his job and is even having SI. I'm so sorry. I never wanted him to go through something like this. I feel infinitely guilty, because his complete mental state/situation is my fault. Michael says I should stop overthinking it, but I feel bad. Michael and I decided that we had suppressed our love long enough, and couldn't live it out, and we got married on the day that was actually Hugo's and my wedding day. We uninvited Hugo's friends and colleagues, and invited some of Michael's friends to the wedding. I also told my bridesmaids just before the wedding that I was going to marry Michael, and 2 of my 5 bridesmaids didn't show up for the wedding. That annoyed me, but my wedding was still my absolute dream wedding. The food, especially the cake, the location, my dress, Everything. We didn't tell our guests, 125 in total, other than the bridesmaids, that I was marrying Michael instead of Hugo, and most were very surprised/shocked, but still celebrated our wedding with Michael and me. However, the wedding gifts were a little problematic. A third of the guests made personalized gifts with pictures of Hugo and me, or our names on them. Michael and I did not accept these. We told the guests to give them to Hugo, as a gift, and as a memory. Michael and I also sent Hugo an invitation to the wedding, as I would have loved it if Hugo had been there on such an important day in my life. And because he's still one of the most important people in my life, plus he's Michael's brother. He didn't come to the wedding. Michael also suggested that Hugo could be our children's godfather, since he is Michael's brother. I'm not sure about that though, as I think it might be too painful for Hugo, but Michael doesn't think I should worry about it. What do y'all think? What should I do? I don't think that would be a good idea. I'm not sure and I don't want to burden Hugo unnecessarily, but I think it would be nice if the twins had another person to relate to. Only comment from OP. I don't regret the marriage or my pregnancy. How could I? My children are already incredibly loved by Michael and I. I am happy that me and my husband got married. What I regret is that I hurt Hugo so much. He didn't deserve that. I'm sorry that he's feeling this way now, and that he's going through a very difficult time, which is my fault. That's why I feel guilty, and the thing that I regret. He's still very important to me. I loved him for years. I haven't had any feelings for him since a long time now, but I still care about him and his well-being. I've made some mistakes during our relationship, I'll admit that, but I don't regret the time with him. These are beautiful memories for me, and hope he has time to heal. I wish Hugo only the best for himself, his mental health and his future. Am I the a-hole for trying to get back into my kids' lives? I, 28F, have 3 kids with my ex, 30M. We were never married, but we dated while I was in college. My senior year, I got pregnant and had twins, both boys. He moved me in with him and we were raising our kids together. 14 months after giving birth to the boys, I had a girl. Immediately after I had postpartum depression. I wasn't doing well and I decided to go back home to my parents to try to clear my head. Once home, I saw my old bedroom, my old things, and was kind of reminded of what I always wanted to do. I always wanted to take a gap year to travel, but I had gotten a scholarship to my first choice school and it seemed silly to pass it up. I decided then, this is what I needed to get in the right mental state. I called baby daddy and told him I'm going to Europe for a couple of months. He was incensed and tried to talk me out of it. I explained this is what I needed to go back to being myself and be a better parent and partner. So I went. He called me the first couple of months and kept asking if I was coming back. Eventually he stopped calling. About 6 months in, my parents told me that he had filed to get full custody of the kids. I was mad he didn't tell me before doing it, but I thought I'd at least take full advantage and really see the world and get it out of my system. I traveled for a little over 2 years and visited every continent. When I was done, I really wanted to see my kids, but I felt guilty for not being present in their lives and I didn't want to face my ex. One of the friends I made in my travels offered me a gig as an English teacher in a private school in Thailand. I took the opportunity and spent the next 3 years doing that. This year, I returned stateside and stayed with my parents. They showed me pictures of the kids and told me, my ex let them see the kids a couple of times. I got in touch with him, telling him I was ready to be involved in their lives and he flat out refused. I threatened to sue for custody and he just replied good luck with that and sent my pictures of me partying in Europe. They are not flattering. My parents want to see their grandkids more, but they tell me it's all my fault for not being able to see them. Am I the a-hole for trying to see them?
Update.
Reddit, it's my time to shine. Had to make a brand new account to not to reveal anything personal. I know exactly who this is. I know the kids and the dad. Those kids were raised by a wolf pack. When this pathetic waste of oxygen abandoned her kids, basically anyone and everyone who had a passing relation to the dad stepped up. His mom moved in for the first year to help with the babies. Neighbors, friends and relatives all donated or bought kids stuff for them. Clothes, diapers, toys, anything he needed. One of his friends manages a restaurant and he brought them unused food almost every night. I work at a bank, so I had nothing useful to contribute other than money and time. One of our buddies runs an MMA gym, and he has a kids class that starts after school, so he take them in after school until their dad gets off work. Whenever the kids need a babysitter, 2 or 3 rowdy men show up ready to be horsies or punching bags for the boys and tea party guests for the little girl. One of our other friends is a lawyer. He helped him gaining custody and advised him through the process. Op's parents are rich and they always offer money to help. On the advice of our lawyer friend he always refuses. That way they can't use that in any future custody battle. He didn't even let them introduce themselves as their grandparents, so they can't claim a relationship. Their dad is doing well now. Those kids don't want for anything. Every Sunday night, he hosts us to watch football and hang out with the kids. His daughter delights in serving everyone wheat juice. They're so much better off without this witch. Am I the a-hole for helping my brother run away from his wedding? I have 2 older brothers. This is about the middle one. Our parents divorced when I was very young due to our mother's insane jealousy. At first my dad was able to handle it, but when she started making comments about me wanting to be like his wife, he had enough. She quickly rebounded with a guy with 2 kids and had shared custody for a while. But when my dad got remarried, she went crazy, calling his new wife every horrible name and claiming he was cheating on her while they were married. I was always closer to my brothers and dad than my mom because she was always very mean to me. Long story short, my stepmom died in a bad car accident and my dad called her in the middle of the night letting her know he would pick us up earlier so we could attend the funeral, and she decided to take us on a fun trip to celebrate something. It was the happiest we've ever seen her, and when we realized what happened and started crying, she told us only worthless people cry for oars. Needless to say, things went nuclear and my dad asked for full custody with visitation for her. He always left the line of communication open and paid for us to visit her when she moved away, but it was still very bad, and as soon as we turned 18 we started to lower contact with her. Last time we saw her was on my HS graduation, where she made a point of letting everyone who would hear we were ungrateful kids, and her HB would call us bad names too. Been NC since then. My brother Sam started dating his ex 3 years ago. She has heard all the stories and the reasons we are NC, but she believes we are just dramatic. They had many issues due to her opinions, but she eventually seemed to drop the "you need to reconcile with your mother" crusade. During the wedding planning there was no indication of things going wrong or fishy. Then we got to the church and lo and behold, Mom, HB and 2 kids were sitting at front. I immediately panicked and called my brothers. Sam thought maybe somehow she found out and wanted to crash, so he called his ex to let her know of the potential drama, but she told him it was fine since she invited them. Sam hung up and asked me to go get him while oldest brother dealt with things at the church. We went home and barricaded ourselves there even when his ex, her family, friends, etc. came to try and make sense with him. Mom's HB even called and said he always knew we were worthless. Now that the dust has settled, most of Sam's friends are on his side and so is most of our family. Dad's ex's parents already threatened to sue for the money they paid if he doesn't marry her, but Sam says he rathers pay them back for their contribution than marry someone that betrayed him. My nuclear family 100% supports Sam, but the backlash has been huge. Edit, you guys just reassured us all. Thank you. Some have commented about it, but no, she has not apologized. She even went so far as to text my oldest brother Joe that she thought it would be a good wedding present from my brother to her since she values family. My dad bought them a house as a wedding present, but only Sam is on the deed. She did have keys for when they moved there, but they just had the locks changed today, and Joe and some cousins are taking everything Sam owns from her flat during this week. We aren't worried about being sued, but we'll consult a lawyer just in case. We also heard Mom and her family are still in town, but since we are all staying at our childhood home for a few days, we don't care. My dad is sad that Sam is heartbroken but is trying to cheer him up along with my boyfriend and my SIL. I had to delete/deactivate my SM because I kept getting nasty comments and messages, but the more people learn the reason Sam run away, the less it gets. I am still sorry she felt humiliated, but my brother comes first. Edit 2. We are 34, 32, and 28. Ex-SIL is 30. Not in the US. I asked Joe about the church aftermath and it was just as I expected it. He says he stood up in front of everybody and told them Sam was not coming and to please go home, and all their gifts delivered to our side of the family will be given back ASAP. The ex was still outside the church when someone in her family informed her, and she started screaming and crying and calling Sam nonstop. Mom tried to talk to Joe that didn't even look at her, and when she couldn't get a reaction out of him she started crying loudly and lamenting how horrible we are to her, and some people started consoling her. This is her MO, but Joe and his wife didn't care. When they went out of the church the ex was expecting them and demanding to see Sam, but Joe said no. Then she demanded to know what to do with the party, and he said if she didn't want the venue he would arrange for the food to be donated to the staff there so it wouldn't go to waste. Everybody was screaming except Joe because he didn't want to give Mom the satisfaction. They, Joe plus SIL, came home after stopping at the supermarket and some fast food joints, and we have been inside like we are kids again, plus 2 more members. We asked Sam if he wanted them to go, but he said he wanted them there. We had all taken time off to spend family time after the wedding anyway, so it's not a problem at the moment. When the ex came to the gate we knew she was not going to use the venue, so my SIL called them with Sam's info, told them to take the food, and also sent them some tips for their trouble. It seems we will get back all the alcohol that my dad paid for, so we will have a very drunk end of the year. A couple of people messaged me asking why did our dad ever marry our mom, and the answer is he really loved her and believed she was the nicest person ever. Turns out she wasn't, but she knew nobody, except I guess her nasty husband, would marry her unless she pretended to be nice. He considered staying with her until we were adults, but she kept getting worse. She used to get very nice and he thought she was changing and then she would change again. As per my ex-SIL, We have no doubt that she believes mom is a nice person that has ungrateful children because she is extremely charming, and for some people is funny to make fun of others as long as it's not directed at them, but it still doesn't excuse X. The only person Sam gave an explanation was his boss, who was at the church, but he is very understanding and was pretty shocked of what mom put us through since we are fairly adjusted happy people. Our dad said that it was a shock for all of us and we can stay home as long as we need. Sam is moving home for the time being. I showed my family the post and they are moved by your niceness, but Sam wants you all to know X wasn't showing any concerning behaviors and he truly believes she understood his upbringing. He agreed to talk to her and her parents today, but only if it's at our home, and we are there to support him, so it's going to be an interesting visit.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.